Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the As Above, So Below show here on the Beyond Mystic channels. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and I'm here with my regular co host, ASHALA Yardley. Hello, ASHALA. How's it going?
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. Is this our first one? Did you do one last week? Or no, we didn't do it last week.
No, we didn't do last week. Yeah, and I didn't do a live show on Saturday either because I was still away on my holiday. So this is my first back to live.
Yay, we're back. We're alive on As Above, So Below. And you can see there's a very handsome man below us. Jens is here with us. Hello, Jensi. How's it
Hi,
going?
hi everybody. I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Jens has gone back to Belgium and it's very late for him with jet lag. So we appreciate you being here with us on this magical day, start of Leo season. One of the things that we're going to be talking about, we're out of Cancer, we're into Leo season. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Some people are very happy in the live chat that we are back. It's been a long freaking time. I think the last time, Ashala, we did a show together was before the solstice, I was saying, before we went live.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So happy summer, everyone. Hope you're all enjoying the energies of this time of year. We all just had our Beyond Mystic vacation and definitely enjoyed it a lot. So before we get into our show's content, please remember, you guys, to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you'd like to have a personal consultation with either Ashala, Jens, or myself, you can go check those out at consultations.beyondmystic.net. Ashala, did you take a break from doing readings as well during the vacation?
I did last week because I
Yeah.
was actually away. I did some readings the week before, but I was down to sort of slow schedule.
Nice.
But I'm back full tilt this week. So
Yay, amazing. And Jens, you've got a new offering. Well, new-ish. It's like what, a few months old on the consultation page, the guided meditation session. Do you want to talk about that a little bit for some people that might not be aware of that?
Yeah, it's just we're going to look into the themes that you want to work around, and then we're going to do an impromptu, channeled, intuitive, in the moment, guided meditation or breathwork session, depending on what what's coming up. So it's specifically tailored towards you, to work specifically. It's not like a general like meditation. It's really specifically tailored towards you. So it's more specific and in the moment.
mm.
Nice, cool. Thank you for that. And also, Lynn at floralinfarm.ca has this new pet collection, new Trails and Paw collection, pet natural shampoo and herbal mist and balm. Very, very awesome. Thank you so much, Lynn, for that. So you guys can go check that floralinefarm.ca and use the code PAW10 to get 10% off. That's so cute, PAW10. So, right before we kind of went on, we found out that one of the, I think, most legendary musicians living, Ozzy Osbourne, just passed away. And I'm seeing some of you guys in the comments are saying RIP Ozzy. Some of you guys are shedding a tear. For Jens and I, that's one of our most favorite musicians. And as musicians, it's a little bit emotional today. Jens, do you want to speak a little bit on the passing of Ozzy? Is this something that you felt at all with your intuition, or what are kind of like your feelings with that?
Well. First of all, I was quite emotional when I heard it because I grew up with Ozzy. I've been listening to him for for over 2 decades. I got into him when I was 17. I remember I was 17, and it was, I think, the first season, like the very first season of the Osbournes, and I didn't know Ozzy because I was just getting into metal at like 16, 17. I played in a heavy metal band, so I really grew up in metal and stuff, and I grew up with Ozzy, like in my late teens and 20s. And I remember, seeing him on like the Osbournes for the first time. I didn't know what he did. I was like, "Oh, this guy seems pretty funny. I'm gonna look him up." And then in this primitive internet days, I stumbled on a song called what was the song again? Diary of a Madman. and it's such a beautiful song. I mean, if people want to take a listen to it, it's got this beautiful acoustic intro played by Randy Rhoads, an absolutely amazing guitarist. Ozzy really had an act to spot the talent. Also, that was also one of his talents, is to spot talent, because the guitarists he chose absolutely were my favorites. I still have my Randy Rhoads guitar, which is 25 years old. You know, the typical Randy Rhoads flying V guitar. I played all my shows. We played over hundreds of shows with my band. You know, when I still played in a band, I always played that guitar. So yeah, it was. I also shed a little tear when I heard it. But you know, he left a legacy. He was an amazing soul, and I think, you know, talking about Ozzy, I think he was a good guy. There's a lot of guys in you know, the music industry, as we obviously talk about Beyond Mystic. This is one of our subjects, the conspiracy. You know, that are like not that okay. But I feel with Ozzy, he was more genuine. He came from really a poor background. All of them, you know, with Black Sabbath, with Tony Iommi, an amazing guitar player, by the way. I saw him live. He was just I could speak for hours on it, but I feel like he was a genuine guy, and I remember him always saying to his fans, "I love you all." And I felt and I knew he meant it. He embodied. I think that's why his death is so emotional for other people, because he had something. Although he was crazy and he was a madman sometimes, you know, he did a lot of drugs and alcohol in his younger years. He had something. He had a loving aspect in him. I feel like he genuinely, truly loved his fans, and it meant a lot to him. And he had something likable in him. Like, you know, he embodied something that a great art that a great artist embodies. Like, is that energy that, you know, that touches a lot of the lives of a lot of people. So yeah, so it's a great artist has passed, you know, but that's how it goes. And now his music will be remembered for decades to come, I think.
Exactly. For sure. Nothing lasts forever. We're all going to go at some time. Very Scorpio kind of topic. Yeah, Shala, don't you think it's interesting? At least this is my own personal interpretation. Like in modern times, we have these artists, a lot of these pop normie artists that are doing black magic and dark arts in plain sight, but it's not in a way like Ozzy Osbourne and heavy metal. You know, a lot of it is poking fun with the dark side or expressing the dark side in a healthy way. It's very out in the open. But now we have so many artists that they're hiding it and it's literal like black magic rituals going on.
Mhm, mhm,
Is that something that
mhm.
you've known at all, Ashala? Are there any artists that you kind of think from the old days that wouldn't have been a part of that, or do you think everybody's kind of a part of that?
Oh, I mean, it's a full mixed bag, you know. I think when we're looking at shadow work, when we're talking about shadow work, you know, a lot of these artists all the way along have done the very important role of keeping our awareness balanced
Yeah.
between dark and light. And uh, yeah, I think it's important, as Jens is saying, to look at what's the heart, what's the intention behind it, just like anything
Mm,
else. You know, you can talk about esoteric mysticism, you can talk about what we would think of as darker subjects or more angsty, or, you know, like really, like you said, Meg, scorpionic, like the
yeah.
deep stuff, right? We can talk about the heavy metal, the heavy stuff
Mm,
with heart, with a lot of compassion, with a lot of honesty and transparency,
mm,
humility, and not ride that in order to gain success or power or influence or whatever. So I think it's just like any other camp, Meg. I think it's a full spectrum with a lot of different people acting out different parts.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Is that, Ashala, one of your do you have any cats or is that our
No,
No,
kitties?
no, it's
just
sarcasm. He's
I
been
just
going.
wanted
I'm sorry. He's been meowing a lot since I've been back. They were 4 weeks alone, and he seems to have like a. He's very like very clingy, almost clingy, very close, very. And from the moment I leave him alone, he starts crying for attention. So I'll mute the mic whenever I can.
just get him
That's
like Janine, get him up on the table there with you, Jens. Get him up in your
Well,
arms
there's
and
there's this one is already on the table, and she's
oh
not
yeah,
crying.
okay. You're gonna have them on either side, like your
Yeah.
cat, your cat
crazy.
guardians.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
funny.
I just wanted to mention what we had mentioned before we came on, which was it said there in that what you had that he died at 76, that Ozzy died at 76. But
Mm,
I heard that it was 77. Anyway, I just wanted to point out the spiritual significance of that number
Right.
77 because seven is the spirit number. So doubles is mastery, mastering spirit. So I think we also can notice that a person with a soul contract to bring some kind of spiritual influence and closure or a full circle or something, it feels
Mm.
like in the way that he chose to leave and the time that he chose to leave is very significant.
Yeah, the time is very, very interesting, especially with the astrology on the day that the sun enters Leo, 0 degrees of Leo. And Leo literally rules in astrology rock stars, the entertainment industry, creativity, expressing ourselves. And we do, I am going to bring up the astrological chart in a few moments, but we are having this week new moon in Leo, exact on Thursday, which is typically one of the most positive new moons of the year. But this new moon in Leo is in an exact opposition to Pluto. So we can definitely see some deaths, and we've just seen it with Ozzy, of prominent rock stars, politicians, people in the spotlight, royalty, even. So Ozzy might not be the only one this week. And I'm not calling for anybody to die, but just saying makes sense with the chart. And MJ in the chat says, do you have his chart, Meg? I know offhand that he's a Sagittarius moon in Capricorn with a Scorpio rising. And it makes sense that Scorpio rising, right? How we see him on the outside. And he's known as the Prince of Darkness, right? The godfather of heavy metal. So it's very scorpionic. I just want to mention too that I went to a lecture one time that I think this was, ever since 2020, I have all my years mixed up. I think this was not last summer, but the summer before. Might have been last summer. I can't remember. I went to Lilydale, New York. Have you ever been there, ASHALA? Lilydale, New York?
No.
It's like a spiritualist town, very cool, that got developed in the 1800s in New York. And Jack Osborne did a talk on his life as a paranormal investigator. And interesting, Ozzy, he's a Scorpio rising. He has 2 kids that are Scorpios, Jack and Kelly. And Jack is extremely knowledgeable about spirituality, mysticism, the paranormal, the woo woo. Absolutely fascinating and interesting that, Ozzy has a son that's kind of going down a woo woo path, exposing ghosts, UFOs, all kinds of interesting phenomena. And he was a really great speaker. He did a great presentation. So if you ever have Jack Osborne coming to your town and he does a talk, you might want to go check that out. So, yeah, we're in a very interesting week, you guys. And I watched, Ashala, your recent psychic tarot show from this past Saturday that you said you pre recorded, right?
I did, yeah.
That one pre recorded. And interesting that you got 3 of the page cards in your zodiac spread. And you were talking about, and let me know if I'm saying this wrong, but if I remember correctly, you were talking about when you get 3 of the same card, that can indicate a blessing coming
Mhm.
forward.
That's
And
how I
you
interpret it, yeah.
right, and you were pertaining that having to do with children.
Mhm,
Interesting. What
mhm.
specifically do you think, just like children in general, or something specific having to do with children?
Yeah, well, when these, it always starts out in the general realm when these predictions present information like that, and it can be read on many different levels. And I like to include all of them because I believe that we are actually just like, Cliff High talking about the ontology. A
Mm,
lot of things are happening. It's not just one thing that's
right.
going on. So, yes, it is about children in general. It is about the inner child. It is about new beginnings and
Mm,
like almost coming at life from that fresh, youthful, innocent place,
wow.
which I think is really important. But then it's also about, working to liberate the children and free the
Mhm.
children because 3 is the it's a synergy number, so
Right.
it is about change. A catalytic kind of change is underway to liberate the children, so all of those things are true.
So cool. And again, that ties into the astrology as we're now in Leo season as of today. Happy Leo season, everybody. We're in the height of summer in the Northern Hemisphere. And Leo, I'm sure Ashala and Jens, as you both know, rules children in astrology. Children in general, our own inner children, fun, play, silliness, right? Living life. And I wanted to ask both of you, how do you like to work with your inner children? And is that something that you ever do on a regular basis? And do you think that that's important to be doing during these times? Jens, we can start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends. There was a time when I did it a lot more when I felt I needed it. And I still do it every once in a while when I feel like I need it, like inner child meditation and stuff like that. Because, it's like, like they say, healing is a layer of an onion and it never ends. I've did a big part of inner child work, actually years. In like the 2010s. But it's good to keep at it because like the layers of an onion, there's always deeper layers coming up. I feel like for everybody, there's a point in time when you really like dig deep into it, and then it like kind of fades in the background a little bit. But you keep on at it. It's like do you. I wouldn't say I do it every week, but I definitely maybe do it once a month or maybe twice a month. It depends on the circumstances.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And Ashala, how about you?
My children both say that I am an eternal child. And I feel like it balances out the deep work that I do and
Yeah.
some of the heavier burdens that I carry.
Mm,
So for me, it is the medicine of laughter. It is the medicine of not taking yourself too seriously, of seeing the humor in things. I have to quickly tell you this crazy, silly story from our holiday, which was there were these two dogs sitting outside this place where coffee shop where my daughter and I went for coffee in the morning, and they were waiting for their owner that had gone in, and one of the dogs was just shuddering with like nervous anxiety, it's just like shaking, and the other one, they were sort of looked alike. They were both sort of almost shaggy cocker spaniel looking dogs. The other one was behind it, just kind of like chill, just totally calm, taking things easy. So my
mhm,
daughter and I got into referring to the two of them as us, because I am like the jittery one that every time there was a noise, like there was a noise in the coffee shop and we were making commentary, and I was like, oh my God, they're killing her in there. And the other one was like, no, they're not. Everything's fine. Anyway, we went on for like 20 minutes with this whole dialogue between these dogs. And the one that had anxiety, her name was Layla. So now, from now on, the joke is every time I go into like, oh, an anxious freak out, Crystal calls me Layla. So those little playful games, right? And I laugh along with it because it's a way to act out
mm,
some of the heavy stuff,
yeah.
It's like, okay. And even the owner came out and said, oh, yeah, that's an old rescue dog. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an old rescue human. Like I was literally rescued. I was an orphan and given up for adoption and in foster care for almost the first 2 years of my life. So I have the trauma of a rescue
Mm,
human. And so we can take some of the heaviest stuff for ourselves and not belittle it or minimize it, but like come into the playful exploration of it. And I
right.
think animals, pets, children help us do that.
Mm,
Playing games with things like that, keeping light and humor even around heavy topics. What do you guys feel about that?
I love that. That totally resonates with me. And I just said that, Yenzi, before you came on the backstage, I just said to Ashala that our whole moving process, which we're going to be stepping into, which has a lot of practical steps. And I was being honest with Ashala, I'm not the best at dealing with all the practical steps in the way Jens is really good at that with his Mars exalted in Capricorn. you know, for me, it's a bit more of a challenge. I said to Ashala before we went live, I want to play through that. I don't want to get stressed through that. I want to play through that. Okay, there's going to be some challenge with that. There's going to be, a lot of things we have to pay attention to, but I don't want to force anything and I want to play through it. I want to have fun. I want to have fun. And I think it's so important for us, especially those of us in our like minded community, to have fun
Mhm.
on a regular basis. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, Ashala, a lot of us have these roles, whether it's professionally or just in our own personal awareness. We know a lot of heavy shit.
we
Okay.
do.
We
Yeah.
know a lot of heavy shit for sure.
Mhm.
And is that just, and I love Ashala that you're Gemini, and someone in the chat, I think it was MJ, said Geminis are eternal children. Absolutely. So you've got that Gemini moon, sorry, that Gemini sun. Jens has that Leo moon, which those are the two signs that rule children. I guess that just comes naturally to you guys. But would there be any advice that you would give to people that are maybe having a hard time being in play right now? Is this something you maybe want to do a card pull on, Ashala, like a message for our inner children, how to connect more with our inner children?
Totally. I'd love to do that. Yeah, let's do that. Look at that. Look, I opened the deck to the Page of Cups, which is actually call it the inner child card, and the Ace of Cups, which is unconditional love. So, I guess part of what I was referring to with the humor is the ability to laugh at yourself, but not in a mean way, in a compassionate way. And that has a lot to do with unconditional love. It starts with you. It starts with yourself, right?
Right.
Let's see what the cards say. Oh, wow. Okay, so, if we practice, because this is a card that has to do with it's the thoughts, it's communication, and this is also a thought card. And this is a thoughts going in a new direction. And this is kind of like a declaration. So if we start when we're not upset, when things aren't too heavy, if we just start by playfully engaging in some kind of, sort of looking at life from a humorous angle, being light with ourselves, even some of the parts of ourselves that are challenging, maybe making like a little archetype like me with the little dog, right? Now that's my little Layla coming out. And then when the heavy stuff comes, you've got that in your back pocket. It's like a superpower. It's like an added tool. You can say, oh, right, I can play right now. Even just throw a little bit of play into the mix. So practice it when it's not heavy, so that when it does get heavier, 9 of Wands,
Yeah.
kind of you're at your last straw, you've got that to draw on. What do you think, Jens? Do you agree with that? Oh,
You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry, I was muting it for the cat. Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with what you're saying. And laughter and humor and taking the light side of life is so important, because I've seen so many people in the conspiracy field that are taking it way, way, way too heavy. And of course, it's heavy information, but we got to really balance it out, especially if we're learning about these conspiracies, and there's a lot of dark stuff going on, but we have to balance it out 100% with the light, and use humor and stuff like that. And actually, I want to interject something here. Is that something that just was on my mind in the last 2 days that I thought about? Is we have to also be careful that humor can be beneficial, but sometimes humor can also be used by some people as a kind of cover up. And I've seen that with a lot of with a lot of famous famous and unfamous comedians, like Robin Williams. Like, he had a lot of dark stuff going on, but he was very humoristic. And sometimes people have that ability to cover up their own darkness with humor. So that's something some people do. And I just throw that out there because that was something I was thinking about in the last 2 days. Some dark people can be really funny. And that's why they liked. So because a person who has humor, a person who has that quality, that talent, is immediately much more sympathetic to people. You have an edge. Like, women like it if a man is funny. But you can hide intentions also with humor. So that's something I also talked about. No, that's maybe not immediately on the subject you were talking about, Ashala. I just wanted to throw that out there, because just gonna let me tell you a personal story here. I remember I was at a pro freedom contest a few years ago in Belgium. And I knew a guy from Facebook. He was a comedian, and he's really good. I really liked his humor, and so I was like, oh, I was standing not too far from him. I was like, I'm going to have a chat with him. Um, and as soon as I came into his energy field, his energy was so off, and I didn't expect it. Totally threw me off, because he presents like this funny guy, on social media, but his energy was like really off-putting. I actually had to step away from him because I was getting too much affected by it. It was really heavy, so that really opened my eyes to, okay, it can be used as a kind of kind of like overlay that kind of can fool people. So that's something we need to be aware of. So sorry for going into the conspiracy side again, but yes, in the end, we have to be very, I feel it's all, when I laugh, I feel my whole energy, it cleanses, it just cleanses
Mhm.
your field, just fun and humor, it cleanses you.
Mhm. It really does. Yeah.
What's that
And
movie? Oh, sorry, Ashala.
well, it's just interesting, right? Like everything is in balance because
Mm,
we can, if we overdo it with humor, it is covering something.
right.
So I think really what this is speaking to in the cards is for a lot of people who are not accustomed to taking things lightly. And it's funny you're talking about, humor in the conspiracy and the truther movement. And I remember years ago, that was one of the, I didn't cover up with humor, but just to make it lighter for myself, because, Jens, you've been on this path for a long time too. And it's a pretty lonely, desolate place to be learning all this stuff and you have no one to talk with about it. So sometimes I would just throw out these little comments like things like I called the Illuminati the Bloomin' Naughties. And I would just say, oh, something would happen and I'd be like, oh, it's the Bloomin' Naughties again. And people would be like, who is the Bloomin' Naughties? And I was like, oh, it's just my way of talking about the Illuminatis and not and making a bit of fun at them to take some of their power away. And that right away, that got people like talking with me about that topic in a totally different way than if I would have said, "Oh, I know that is the Bilderberg group," and like it's just like it was immediately. I said the Bloomin' Naughties, and they were like, "What is that? Tell me more about that," because everybody started laughing, right? So
Yeah.
it for me it was a way to look at some of this really heavy stuff from an angle where I wasn't giving it all that power. I
Mm,
was removing some of its power and poking fun at how puffed up it is. Like to me, that was a part of it too. It's like they're all puffed up, like um, so full of themselves. And humor has a way of poking a pin in that too.
yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to think, you guys. There's a movie where someone's told to laugh, laugh so that they don't fall and die. And they start laughing and their energy raises and they start floating up. Does anybody remember what movie that is?
I
No
don't, but
idea.
it sounds
Oh,
familiar.
what is that? Yeah, I can't think of what it is. If anybody knows what it is, please let us know. But it really is one of those higher, it might be Mary Poppins. I can't even remember. Sorry, you guys. Mercury retrograde moment. But that is one of those highest frequencies, right? Oh, a couple of people saying Mary Poppins. Maybe that's what it is. And yeah, so important for us to be doing. And MJ in the comments is saying, we have been so brainwashed into working, work, work. We have to literally reprogram ourselves. And MJ also says, I see burnt out people every day who are on medical leave and have to be told to play more. And they feel so guilty. We have got to reverse all that. Isn't that crazy? We're these beautiful children. We're born and we're these beautiful, magical, light, pure children. And then in this modern society, we get programmed to really become quite the opposite. And it's quite a miracle if you don't stay like that, right? I think somehow a lot of us in our community, not to say that we're better than other people, no, nobody's perfect at all, but I think a lot of people to be able to be open to the magic, to be able to be open to the woo, for some reason, whatever reason that is, some of us have kept a little hold on that, right? And we didn't get totally programmed all the way through, or maybe we did get programmed and then later on woke up. So, very, very powerful stuff. We've got Jens with us for just a short amount of time. He is, coming at us from very, very late over in Belgium. So we're almost at the halfway mark, and we're going to get into more tarot, more astrology for the week ahead. But just still, while we have Jens, I'd love to ask you, Jens, because you've made very accurate predictions in years past around. Sometimes you've done like a prediction the year ahead. You know, when you do that, like before a year, you're like, this year I'm feeling these things. I wanted to bring up with both of you, we're kind of, well, we're past the halfway mark. We haven't done an as above, so below since before our vacation around the summer solstice, but we're past the halfway mark of this Gregorian year of 2025. And I'm curious to hear from both of you if you have any spidey senses, any feelings, impressions about what the rest of this year has to offer us. Jens, we can start with you.
Um, I would have to say, and not meaning to be negative, but I feel on the world stage, I think the Iran-Iraq conflict might flare up again. That's just my own feeling. I feel, I don't know. It's just a feeling, right? I feel that what we saw was only like a little beginning of that, but I think that might come up again. I don't know what the astrology says. I would be curious for that on that.
Mhm.
So that's the main thing. What I also feel is that what I kind of feeling, and I'm not sure is that, and I may be totally wrong in this, but I feel like maybe Trump will not sit out the end of his presidency, and I feel like maybe JD Vance might come in. Because I've
Wow.
been seeing like, I don't know, I'm seeing like signs, like, logical and intuitively, I feel it, is that maybe, it's like his position is starting to get weakened a little bit, with the Epstein stuff that is coming out. There's reports about his health, coming out, and which, I don't think anything is accidental in politics, because they were hiding, Biden's health state, they were not saying anything about it. Well, it was obvious he was like in bad health, right? And now with Trump, it's not that obvious, but still they're saying it. So I'm feeling like maybe there's some maneuvering going on where Trump is going to get like, like impeached, or something else happens where, JD Vance might step in, because I've heard that JD Vance was also like soliciting Murdoch. I've heard, and I don't have a high esteem of JD Vance, because he's the protege of Peter Thiel. Basically, Peter Thiel gave him the biggest donation ever of a vice president. Peter Thiel is head of the Bilderberg, basically member of the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group, and the Bilderberg Group, as we know, are up to no good. I mean, he was recently asked in an interview, Peter Thiel, "Do you want the human race to survive?" And he hesitated, like obviously. I don't know if that may be something that they want to like if they oust Trump and then maybe JD Vance, because then JD Vance would become president. This is maybe what may be in store. Of course, I could be totally wrong on this, but if I would have to make a prediction, I would say those two things.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing that. And Ashala, do you have any feelings about the rest of the year ahead? Would you maybe want to pull some cards on this?
Yeah, I can pull some cards, and I have to agree with you, Jens. I also haven't felt Trump living out his whole office
Mm,
for a variety of different reasons, and none of it feels completely connected to a timeline or a specific, but it just is a sense that I've also had. I actually am relating it to, again, going back to the year of the snake, being in the year of the wood snake. And so things by the end of the year could look entirely different, and yet they're in the same vein, if that makes sense. Like we are going through layers and layers, like you were talking about the onion earlier, Jens. We're going through layers and layers of peeling back things. So I just keep getting, there's going to be more peeling back, more revealing, more. I agree with you also. Conflict that gets to a real crescendo. I don't think it goes over. Even the economic system, I don't think it goes over the edge. I think, but we get a lot of dramatic, like lead ups to things. And it's designed to like get those old skins off, like to shed that old stuff, right? So it has to happen almost in these layer by layer, and by the end it could look very different. That's kind of what I'm feeling. So let's just quickly have a peek, see what the cards say with regard to that, like the general. Ooh, they're sticky. So it's going to be a sticky situation. It's going to feel like we get stuck a lot, um and it's okay if it doesn't. It's almost like it's important that we go slow enough that things just don't rip apart. So that's what
mm,
I was saying about the conflicts getting to a point but not going over the edge, the economics things getting to a point but not complete catastrophes, right? strong enough energy that we shift, but it has to also happen slow enough that we don't implode, if that makes sense. So, oh, wow, look
Wow.
at this. So, really big influences, solar influences. Someone was just talking to me earlier about the Atlas comet. I don't know if you've heard of that one. Yeah, over the next couple of months, there's going to be, it's interesting, almost like a tug of war between the sun and the moon, but not in the sense that one is good and one is bad or right and wrong. Just this, again, a lot of dramatic energy. And we have to keep our cool, and we also have to do our research. And we have to look at the long game. And I think we're going to also see a really big aspect of technology, and yeah, really big turning point around maybe even some of the dangers with technology and surveillance and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to cause people to pull back a bit from it, is what I'm getting. Do you feel any of that, Jens? Because you've talked quite a bit about technology and the surveillance and
Yeah, the dangers of transhumanism, yeah, is what I'm immediately thinking about. Well, that would be a good thing. What you're seeing in the cards here, because I feel like, and you actually, it's spot on what you're saying, because I feel like Musk has done a reversal. So Musk is, the brain chip guy, I call him, and he used to be like warning about AI. Like he used to say, like he used to be like, blowing hot and cold at the same time. He used to say he has Neuralink, which is developing this technology, but then he's saying we need to, AI is dangerous, it's like more powerful than nuclear technology, and he say to survive AI we must merge with it, which is like, is like, okay, you're just going to give up your humanity to survive it. That's just like a false dichotomy for me. And now he's posting publicly on X, yeah, I had my reservations about AI, but now I'm going full steam ahead. So he's basically saying publicly that he's going to go full steam ahead with the AI agenda, which is, might be what cause people to recoil from it. If they go too far with it, where it becomes too obvious, even for people that that trust Musk. Because of his association, well, not anymore really, with Trump, and he's he's being like the Robin Hood. He bought X, and my question is, why was he even able to buy X in the first place from the deep state? That's another question. But I think maybe if, and he earned trust with people for that. But I think he's going to go. It seems like he announced that he's going to go all in, and that might indeed trigger a backlash. So I think what you're seeing in the cards might be spot on. Yeah.
let's hope that it does. There's enough revealed and out in the open. Again, like you said, they're playing their hands maybe a little bit too hubrisly, right? They're like, oh well, let's just go for it. And it's going to reveal some things where people will go, no, 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 hold on. So
Mm.
that's interesting. It's going to bring things out in the open faster. Um, so yeah, and then I think also economic hardship is going to be really top of the conversation by the end of this year. Like global economic collapse kind of thing. But where we go in 2026 with that, not sure yet.
Wow. Really interesting. Thank you guys so much. I love how everything connects when we share with each other. So cool.
Mhm.
And Jens, thank you so much for joining us. And I see our little Ocean there. I miss you,
Yeah,
Ocean.
he's vying for attention. I guess he just wants to say hi, because
Oh,
he wants to do this. Just wants to like get kisses. Like that's what he loves.
he's so
That's what
cuddle.
he loves. Yeah.
Oh, look at him. Well, thank you so much for joining us so late. And you guys can go check out Jens's guided meditation sessions. Let me bring this up here over at the link below. Where is it? Here it is at consultations.beyondmystic.net. And over on the Beyond Mystic Academy, Jens has his recent ancestral healing meditation, discernment workshop, all kinds of great offerings. So thank you so much for all that you do. And thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you very soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hope to do this again. It was a great energy. It was great being on the show. Thanks a lot, Megan and Shala.
So
Thank
fun to have
you.
you here, Jens.
All right.
I look forward to
Okay.
doing it again. Yeah. Bye
Yeah.
for
Okay.
now.
Bye, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God, Ocean is so cute. Oops, Aries. So, yeah, could we maybe look at Ashala with the cards? Our week ahead, we've got a new moon in Leo happening, Sun opposite Pluto, some very big aspects with the outer planets too. Uh,
I opened the deck and we saw this.
no
Um,
way.
what does the new moon in Leo mean to you, Meg?
Yeah, well, the new moon in Leo, as I said earlier, it's interesting because typically new moon in Leo is a fun for time and play and new beginnings. And, it's Leo, right? It's one of the lighter signs in astrology. But this new moon is 2 degrees Leo in an exact opposition to Pluto, the lord of the underworld, 2 degrees of Aquarius. So we've got exact sun opposition Pluto. And we're seeing this play out. We're seeing it. It's really freaking intense out there right now in the
Yeah.
collective and each of our personal lives. We're seeing with Pluto power, revealing secrets, criminality, right? Exposing opposite to Leo, powerful people. We're having the Epstein file drama leading up to this new moon, the whole Obama thing. Did you hear about that, Ashala?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the whole thing with Obama, you know,
Mhm.
the MLK files being released. Ozzy Osbourne just passed away. I mean, this is people in the public light really being highlighted in very intense, literal life or death situations. So I think this new moon on the personal level is beautiful for us to be honest with ourselves about possible toxicity or shadow work that we maybe need to take a look at. We've also got Mars conjunct the South Node in Virgo, so there's a lot of purification and release, big time. But it also is a new moon where we can set intentions, even though there's intense aspects and a lot of planets retrograde. We can still set intentions. We can still envision, dream, be inspired, but in a very I'll use the word cautious way, realistic way, and being
Mhm.
open to maybe the way that we're planning things in this moment might change after the retrograde period, after the portal of this Leo new moon. But it's an amazing time to do creative things, connect to our inner child, connect to our heart as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that's so interesting. When you said that about almost like the inner child innocence doing battle with, what did you call it? The Lord of the
The
Underworld,
Lord of the Underworld,
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes me think of like the hobbits going into Mordor or something, right? It's kind of like, you know, in a way, they're two very powerful forces, the forces of innocence and light, and also the forces of manipulation and power dominance. It's like, so this will be very interesting, I think, to see how we navigate through this and where we choose to put our attention and intention. It's almost like protecting ourselves from that manipulative
Mm,
aspect in our personal lives and in the larger global arena.
yeah.
And also, yeah, really protecting the inner child so that it can come out and like lead and guide more and be the direction that we follow. So let's just see. This is where we're at, where we're going, where we're going. So 2 cup cards and how we're going to get there. All right. So this is a very, like, if somebody had this in their personal reading, I would say that we are looking at working with stuff like our trauma and our
Mm,
personal boundaries, and that we would want to like go to spiritual guides, therapists, healers, people that we really trust to support us. So it feels like we are it's not going to be as easy of a, like, just a fun time for new moon in Leo. It does feel like there will be some very big work coming up, but that saying, we only are being given what we can handle. It feels like we have the tools with this hierophant to
mm,
handle this work.
yeah. Wow, that's powerful.
Do you see this reflected in the astrology at all?
Definitely, for sure. Interesting that there's two cups there because there is, and this is a whole other story, but I've been really feeling actually Jupiter being in Cancer as well, and how that is like the luckiest, I like to call it the lucky ducky transit that we've got going on at the moment, but it's also bringing up high emotions. High emotions. Cups have a lot to do with our emotions and sensitivities. Leo is also a very passionate sign, not necessarily attached to the emotions, but very passionate. And I feel this is a time of high emotions, high passion, high volatility. And if you need to cry, cry. If you need to yell, yell. If you need to laugh hysterically, let yourself be in your emotions. That's another way that I like to connect with my inner child. It might sound a little bit silly, but just letting myself really be in whatever emotion is coming up, right? Like I was babysitting my niece earlier today, and she's so cute. She's 2.5 years old. And when you're around the little ones, they don't hold back their emotions whatsoever. If there's a little thing, even if it's we were reading books and I was reading her Green Eggs and Ham, and she wanted me to read it again. And then she wanted me to read it again. And if I didn't want to read it, she's going to show, how angry she actually feels about that. Right. Whereas which is just a little thing, but when we're adults, we hold the emotions back and we lock them in our bodies, we lock them in our psyche, and that can create stored trauma, that can create blocks, even. So I think there's also, I'm feeling this theme of, and let me know what you think, Ashala, but there's so much, it feels like still trauma based mind control going on. Even I'm feeling from like the truther community and the alternative community, not consciously, but just in the sense of there's so much happening at the same time, so
Mhm.
much we're processing, so much
Mhm.
we're revealing. That's also, in a sense, also trauma based. Maybe mind control isn't the right word. Trauma based, trauma, like, what would even be the right word? Information overload trauma. Let's call it that, right?
Yes,
So there's the trauma
absolutely.
based mind control of intentionally when you watch the news, it's just nonstop negative story after negative story after negative story
Mhm.
and trauma. Whereas we're unconsciously doing it, and it gives me no pleasure in saying it, but I genuinely feel this, and I'd like to hear what you feel, Ashal, too. We're kind of doing it too in our community when we're overly obsessed with all the heavy subjects. It's
Mhm.
traumatic,
It's traumatic. It
right?
is traumatic. Yeah. Well, you just said something about a transit with Cancer. Was
Yeah.
that what is in Cancer, did you
So
say?
the planet Jupiter is in Cancer, entered Cancer, I think it was June 9th, and is going to be there until June 30th, 2026.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
this card is a lot like the Cancer energy. In fact, if you look up close, you can see, do you see like it's almost like the crab claws on the vessel that she's holding, the cup that she's holding. This card is associated with the sign of Cancer, which is also about, it's about introspection. It's
Mhm,
about us really protecting ourselves, about us. And this is also a protecting yourself card,
mhm,
emotional protection. And then this gets into things like nurture and your relationship with your mother as well. The
mhm,
Queen of Cups is often our mother figure, our nurturing, the ability to do self care, to look after ourselves, to be kind and nurturing and sensitive to ourselves and others. So this is, it's like there's the positive aspects of being sensitive. And then, like you said, there's too much of
yeah,
it. It goes overboard. We go too far with some of these things.
yeah,
So learning where the edges of our boundaries are as well. With the Four of Cups, you'll notice that he sits with his legs crossed and his arms crossed. He's discovering where his no is, like
mhm,
that's far enough. And interestingly, the Hierophant can also reflect our experiences of young childhood in the education system.
Mhm.
So we've got this new moon in Leo, which is a lot about the inner child. And we've got that Jupiter in Cancer, which is a lot about, the ability to kind of protect ourselves, to nurture and care for ourselves. So it feels like there is some kind of work happening around that this week.
Right. Yeah, and I also feel like that Hierophant, whenever I see the Hierophant, that's a no joke card. That is like serious business to me.
Yeah, it's associated with the sign of Capricorn, and it is about rules. It's about the systems of authority. It's not so much about law and order the way the Justice card is,
Mm,
but it is about our cultural systems of authority and institutions.
wow.
So,
And our beliefs too, right?
our
Can be
beliefs, yes.
beliefs. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Also, something nice with this new moon time is we have our annual Perseid meteor shower is in view from now until, is it the end of August or mid August? I can't remember. But right, this new moon is actually, one of the coolest new moons of the year because you can see the Perseid meteor shower. There's like many, many meteors all at once that'll be visible in the sky. Amazing new moon to be doing some stargazing as well. Before we finish up tonight's show, Ashala, should we maybe pull a card for each of our sign groups? It feels like a big week with this new moon and the start of this Leo season.
It does, and we haven't done that for a while, so let's do that.
Yeah. Cool.
Start with, is it the fire we begin with?
Fire signs, yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Our Aries, Leo, and Saggies.
Ooh, this one. Oh no, it's more than one. I'm going to use that as the top one. Oh, okay. So very interesting. I was like, I know it's going to be a water card, and sure enough, it is. So it's the King of Cups. It's incredibly deep, potent, this card. And with regards to what we were just talking about, it's really getting to know the deepest part of yourself. Leo to me is a lot about our confidence. It's about being extroverted, being willing to like step out of your comfort zone and go out into the world and be your bold self. Um,
Mm,
in order to feel safe, you've got to know yourself. It's a level of maturity that creates confidence, right? So I just think for a lot of the fire signs, there's going to be this sense of real confidence that comes from true maturity.
mm. I love that. That's so cool. And cool that for the fire signs, you guys are having this new moon in fire houses in your charts. So, very much about confidence, being in your own energy, self sovereignty. I feel like that relates. Really, really cool. Thank you, Ashala, for that.
Hmm.
And next, we go to our earth signs for this new moon are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So this card, people go, oh my God, oh no, that looks so painful. I don't want to go through that. But the thing with this card is the message is you've already gone through it. When this card shows up, I call it open heart surgery. It's already happened. It's from the past.
Mm.
So the work is to pull these barbs out really carefully so they don't hurt you. So it's like very gentle, very compassionate, like looking back over narratives from the past, like letting go of old stories for the earth signs, letting go of old, like, beliefs that have hurt you. So it looks like, again, as I said, it looks painful, but the pain has already happened. Now we get to actually take the offensive things away And so it feels like that is part of what is happening with this new moon in Leo. And it's almost like the courage, right? Leo is the sign of courage and it's the sign of the heart for me. When I talk about, like astrology, I think of Leo as the heart chakra. So it literally is for the earth signs, it's taking the pains away from your heart.
Oh my gosh. And that's really, really interesting because the earth signs are having this new moon in water houses, all about the emotions, the past. Water can rule the past, reflections, sensitivities. And remember, you guys, it's a new moon in exact opposition to Pluto. So there's great potential, creativity, there can be fun, but there can also be some intense stuff coming up, or like you're saying, Ashal, already's happened that we need to resolve and move through.
Just let it go. And, if you rip it out, it's going to hurt. If you
Mm,
slowly pull it out, so it's taking that time. So far, both of those cards indicate a maturing process. And it's
right.
interesting because we're thinking of Leo as fun and playful and almost like childish and irresponsible, but this feels like a deeper aspect of Leo. It feels like the courage.
Oh my God.
Hmm.
Very interesting. Okay. Next, we're going to move to our air signs, our Geminis, Libras, and Aquarians.
Hmm. Okay, air signs. There we go. Oh my gosh. We had the king of water. Now we have the queen of water.
Oh my
And
God.
that was what we were looking at for the whole week, right? And even it was something about the year. Anyway, this card has been up a lot. So, looking at your nurturing capacity, self care, compassionate, and also your relationships with your mothers or children. So, mother figures, and if you are a mother, your relationship with your children is very prominent. So, this is also quite emotional. It's very interesting.
Is that the third time or the second time she showed up today?
I think it's the third.
Yeah. Wild. That is so
Mhm.
cool. Okay, air signs, you got the Queen of Cups. And last but not least, we go to our water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces.
Okay. Oh, water signs. Look at
Wow.
it, it's the lion.
Oh
It's
my
the
God.
lion. So to me, this is really somehow hitting your stride in terms of being able to manage what's coming and really work with these energies. Almost, I'm getting the feeling right up to Lionsgate, like this is really your time. We're talking a lot about water qualities with all three of these cards and even the energies for the week, right? There was a lot about emotions, and this is your wheelhouse water signs. So you are setting a tone and you can do some really beautiful work around taming taming instincts, taming reactions, really working well with others, helping them maybe chillax a bit.
Mm. That is so cool. I love that. Yay, water signs. Thank you so much, Ashala. And speaking of water signs, over on the Scorpling shop, Sunny and I have this new Jupiter in Cancer Lucky Charms crystal collection available on the scorplingshop.com. This was a cool idea that we came up with recently since we've got this very lucky, positive, benefic transit. There's, of course, crystals that are associated with all the different planets and signs. So we intuitively hand chose these four different crystal varieties as lucky charms to work with the Jupiter in Cancer transit. So if you'd like to check those out, you can go to thescorplingshop.com, and we've got the Beyond Mystic 10% off code that you can use to get 10% off. And just want to say, because we have been getting some questions about it, you guys, if you go to the website, there's different sizes and also quality options for each of the crystals: the pink Lemurian quartz, Larimar, ruby feldspar, and blue topaz, that we all felt can have to do with Jupiter in Cancer and unlocking the blessings of this transit. Have you ever worked with any of those types of crystals before, Shala?
I was just going to ask you about, I feel very drawn to that pink lemurian. Can you tell me a little more about that, Meg?
Okay, that's a really cool one because Lemurian quartz, okay, very popular kind of quartz, called Lemurian quartz because it literally connects you to the ancient civilizations, Lemuria. They have these beautiful bands on them that are very rare. They look really beautiful. Very high vibrational crystal. Pink Lemurian quartz is a very rare variety of Lemurian quartz that specifically helps to not only open up the intuition, but also the heart, hence the pink color. So it's like
Mm.
intuitive heart opener, brings you into your heart gifts and passions to help be aligned with yourself and also with this transit in that case.
It just looks like such an extraordinary color. Like
Yeah,
it looks like not pink pink. It's like almost like a supernatural color or something when I look
yeah,
at that.
yeah. They are so, so beautiful. And this one, really cool, the ruby feldspar, I'm very excited
Mm.
about because I never worked with that one personally. And when we were picking crystals for this collection, one of our suppliers had it. And that's also a very rare one, ruby and feldspar in the same variety. So really, really cool. Love working with the crystals. And also, you guys know that you can go check out Ashala over at consultations.beyondmystic.net and also the Beyond Mystic Academy. And Ashala does amazing psychic tarot readings. I said it correctly. And, when we have these very intense energetic times, these are also very powerful times, I think, to get readings, to do divination, to be working on ourselves. So Ashala is amazing at what she does. Definitely go check that out at the links below. Any closing remarks before we finish up today's show, Ashala?
Well, I just want to say that it's so lovely to be back online with all of you, and I really look forward to, there's going to be some exciting things coming down the pipe here in the next few months with Beyond Mystic, and I look forward to seeing how we all grow and mature and evolve together. So I'm just so delighted to be back in this beautiful energy field of our precious community.
Yes, I feel the same. I'm very, very grateful and looking forward to what is to come in the near future, in the long distance future. So stay strong out there, you guys. We got the strength card for the water signs, but also all the cards in a way are showing up for everybody at the same time. So remember your strength, remember your gifts. Thank you all. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic channel. And we will see you all next Tuesday for another As Above, So Below show. Thank you, Ashala. Bye, everybody.
Blessings. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.